Hello, this is Professor Scott Norman in the Automatic Transmission Lab at Pittsburgh State University, and we are continuing our series on AC compressors. And today we are talking about clutch removal. And so we're starting off by looking at maybe some of the special tools that you're going to need to remove the clutch from this an AC compressor. Today looks like we have a scroll style compressor, so it's a rotary scroll compressor. I could tell by the nose and looking at the series of bolts how compact it is, and it has my thermal valve right there. And so, but if I take a look at it, the hub and pulley are both spinning together. They're not releasing. I could barely pull them apart, so there's basically zero clutch clearance there. And so probably the shim is missing for the adjustment on that. So the first thing you do is you're going to need to get the bolt off the top of the hub, and the problem is that when I'm trying to loosen this, I can't hold it. I can't hold my pulling hub enough. Even if the belt was on it, you just can't hold it hard enough. You know, that is torqued on, and so a lot of guys will take an impact and zip it off if they can even get the impact in there. A lot of times you can't get something in there on that. It's pretty easy to service this on the bench. It's a lot harder when it's on vehicle. You know, it's a transverse mounted engine. It's on the bottom. You got a frame in your way. Sometimes it's not fun at all. They do make different tools. So this is a spanner wrench. And this is another style of spanner wrench, but wrenches that will hold the hub as you are taking that hub nut off. And so this is like a universal tool, so this is pretty common. And so you kind of have to get it wedged in there. I tend to I got lucky the first time, but sometimes you have to flip it around and finally get it wedged on something on the hub, and then there it goes. It wasn't on all that tight. It's just my hands were a little greasy. So again, a nice spanner wrench or something like that works out good. There's some special tool kits that are around. I got a special tool kit from Compressor that is a hub tool, and it even has a spanner wrench in there. I guess I should grab that one because this compressor has 3 holes in it, so it actually probably fits in there. It doesn't quite fit in there. Nope, not the exact size spanner wrench. And again, this fits an exact compressor, probably a Sandin compressor, and this is not a Sandin compressor. It's a scroll compressor. So bottom line is that there's different kits that are available that you may need. If you go to like O'Reilly's or something and borrow their AC clutch hub remover kit, you may get something like this with a whole bunch of different adapters and stuff like that on it. And I can open this up, and does this have a spanner wrench in it? Does not have a spanner wrench in it. Some guys, I've used a belt before to put against this and tighten it real tight in order to hold it, or something like that, or a cloth and take a screwdriver and kind of squeeze the cloth in there to tight in order to hold it if I couldn't do it with my hands. But once you get the nut off, the next step, and this is where a lot of guys will make a mistake, and I see students do this all the time. All the students are required to take a hub off, and they'll take the hub puller and they'll put it on, and they'll start pulling the hub off right away. The hub and pulley all at one time, and you have to realize is that the number one, the hub could be either a press fit or a slip fit, and number two, there's always. And I've always seen it, a snap ring that's under the hub holding the pulley on. So if you try to use a puller to pull the pulley off, you're going to damage something. So you have to get this hub off first. And the first thing you're going to want to look at is you're going to want to look at to see if there's anything on the front of it that requires some like screws to be threaded in for a puller. And so I'm looking at the front of this, and I really see nothing to grab a hold of in order to pull, which is good. That means it's probably a slip fit. And so what I tell students to do is, take a small, I use the word small prying device. And so I got very small screwdrivers, not large ones. And I'll try to get it between the hub. There we go. I can wiggle it up just a little bit and try to get it to come up. And I can't pull it up with my fingers, but maybe if I could get a screwdriver, I have and the key, once I get one side in, I try to wedge the other side around and try to get two screwdrivers opposite of each other, because if you start prying on one side, it's going to wedge, and once it wedges, it doesn't want to come out really good. And try to get it to come out, and of course, service procedures, there's always something nice to be able to look in, be able to see and see what's going on. And oh, it's coming. There you go. So there you go. So the hub came off. Not a problem. And so you know, it has splines on it, and so I call that a slip fit versus a press fit. But once the hub is out, I tend to like to look at the clutch surface, make sure that the clutch surface doesn't have any grooving on it. So the clutch surface on the hub, the clutch surface on the pulley itself on it. When I pull off my hub, I immediately want to look and see if there is a shim, and there's typically a shim between the hub and right there on that input shaft. And so is there? Oh yeah, there is a shim there. And so key is I don't want to lose that shim, and this shim probably needs to be, I need to have more than one of them, so I need to have a thicker shim on this particular unit. So I'm going to put this someplace where I don't lose it. Now when I look inside there, what I see if you guys can see that in there, but there's a snap ring in there. And so you have to pull the snap ring off in order to get the pulley off. Always, 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 always. And so, you know, I don't feel any movement at all because that snap ring isn't there good. So you're going to need a set of snap ring pliers. And so the key is that you're going to need to try to figure out which is the correct type of snap ring pliers you need. They typically have holes in them. And let's see what I can do here. I'm not using these 100% correct, but that's okay. I need to stand up and be able to see what I'm doing. There we go. So there's our snap ring. And so we need to make sure that you take a look at that. I tend to take a look at it to see if it is beveled on one side, because if it's beveled on one side, it's directional. So you want to make sure that you put it back the way that you found it, and so that's important. Now this hub, ooh, I got lucky. So again, sometimes, sorry, I say hub, I mean the pulley. Sometimes it needs to be pulled, sometimes it doesn't. Again, if it needs to be pulled, this is one example of a puller. There's some other ones out there, but I'm gonna see if I can get this off. And maybe it's up. It feels like there's a tight spot in there. See if I'll get my small prying devices. If my small prying devices isn't going to work. Yeah, if it was on the car, I'd probably be able to pull it off, but I don't have a vise in here to hold down, so I'm going to put my puller on there. Put it to the center. Okay, so we have our wrench, and it should come off smoothly. If you're taking this thing and you're getting a 1/2-inch breaker bar on this, you're doing something wrong. The key is with any, even pressed pulley, should be nice and smooth. Should not be hard at all. So a nice smooth movement. It's coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up. There we go. So this tool works out pretty good. Then we have our pulley and our bearing. So actually it's two pieces, you know. So you got your bearing in the side. Most of the time they're not serviceable. They could be though. I have ordered them in the past. Sometimes there's a snap ring holding the bearing on, or you could service it. If you're not sure, you know, I sometimes will print out service information for the students to be able to follow, but you know, you can look through the service information on them, and sometimes they'll give you information about the right tools to use, or if it's serviceable. At that point, I then pull out my electromagnet clutch, you know, and so that has a snap ring in it too at the very bottom. So again, you don't want to just put a puller, some type of bearing splitter or something like that underneath the very top and put it over in the press, because again, there could be a snap ring holding this guy here on. So the key is, that's why you take one piece off at a time and you look and you see what's in there. And so get my, see if these will work also. There we go. So I want something that spreads out. And these may not be big enough, we'll see. Ah, there you go. And so I got the pulley on it, or the snap ring on it. Okay, this guy has a flat edge on the bottom. We have the bevels on top, so you know I set that over here. So I put it the right way on that. And then at this point, I have to take off my wire. So my wire is still hooked on there, so I can't raise that up a whole bunch, but we'll get a, it's like a Phillips screwdriver. That's pretty easy. So we'll get our Phillips screwdriver in order to pull that off. Yep, got my Phillips screwdriver. So we'll take our electromagnetic clutch off. Some wiring there. And there we go. And so there's my electromagnetic clutch that I can replace. Typically, when you are ordering yourself a pulley assembly or a clutch assembly, it's going to come just like that. Is what it's going to come in. So you're going to get the hub, you're going to get the pulley and bearing assembly, and you're going to get the electromagnetic clutch, or you know, a big coil wire. It's kind of what that is. So you're going to get that all together like that as an assembly. It's typical as far as what you order. And then so you're going to take it off and you're going to put the new one back on. And so we're going to put this one back on again. And so I do want to point out, since I can see it pretty good now right here, is that this is the, you have your input shaft seal, which, you know, if anything got hot up in front, that's going to cause that seal to possibly start leaking in the future. We used to teach students how to service that seal quite often, but dealership technicians just don't service that seal anymore. If they service that seal, and you know, there's a lot of special tools that are required to do that, but if they service that seal, if it leaks, then it's a comeback on that technician. And so if they replace the whole entire compressor, well then if it leaks, it's a parts warranty instead of a comeback for that technician. So again, at the dealership, I worked for Chrysler for 14 years and didn't show one technician how to take that seal out, because that just wasn't a procedure. Pulling clutches off was a procedure, but not that front seal. Okay, so I'm going to put my electromagnetic clutch back on, and we'll have another video series on how to check that to make sure it's functional. And then what you do not want to do is forget your snap rings. You want to make sure that you identified what direction they were. And sometimes I'll get a screwdriver in there. Push it down. Make sure it's in all the way. Push on it all the way around. So I'm pushing the snap ring on the outside edge. I'm pushing it in. I lost my snap ring. And push that all the way in order to make sure that it's in all the way. It's seated, because if it's not seated all the way, you may not be able to get the next component on. Okay, got my snap ring. So the next component to go on would be your pulley. And in one of the kits that I have is a driver. So this is a driver for it. And when I'm driving that, I want to be on the inside race of that bearing, since the inside race is what's going on there. And so the key is you want to make sure that's level. And a lot of students will try to pound on the face of the pulley, the clutch face, and I don't like to do that when it's a brand new unit. And so the key is that you're tapping it on. You're not taking a big old monster hammer. You want to make sure that it's going on smooth and consistent. And okay, so that needs to go down. I'm going to turn this around, because my tool is not exactly the right tool, but it has a hole in it, so I don't have to worry about hitting that input shaft. Tap it down. does. And the key is I want to make sure that I have enough room for my snap ring to seat in. So then I'm going to get my snap ring back in and make sure that's the correct size or the correct way. Again, I'm looking for a flat edge and a beveled edge. Typically that bevel is going to be on the inside, is where that is. And that bevel on this particular unit will be facing up. And that bevel is allowing it to be somewhat adjustable a little bit. And you squeeze it in, and that helps take out all the clearance. And I don't have my glasses on, so it's hard to see that small hole, but got it in. Push it in, and it's up a little bit higher, so it's easier to do. And I'll get my screwdriver, and I hear it clicked in, so that's good. And then I take around the edge, and I push the snap ring to the end, and make sure that's in all the way. I want to feel it and make sure I don't feel any movement. You know, I spin it, make sure it's really good to go. And at that point, I want to take any of my shims that I need. And again, I don't have the correct shim for this particular unit, so I'm going to put it back the way it was. But the key is that you're going to, I would want to probably, I don't know, put a thicker one in. You know, I know that there's probably 1 inch, 1/1000th of an inch clearance, so I probably want to put something that's, you know, at least 15, 16, 17, maybe 20 thousandths thicker than this one right here. And of course, I can look up the spec and see exactly what it is for this compressor. At that point in time, I need to put my hub back on, so I can work on putting my hub on. And it has splines on it, so I'm trying to get the splines lined up. And there's no master spline to it, I can see, so just need to wiggle it a little bit to get it going in the right spot. I don't know, let's look one more time and see if we do have a master spline. Oh, wait a minute. I do see a master spline in there. How about that? So I was missing it because it's kind of dark when you're looking at it, but I do see a master spline at the very bottom. So the key is make sure that good thing I didn't put a hammer on it, right? Try to get it to go down there. It dropped down all the way. Excellent. So the next thing I need to do is find my nut and put my nut on, and I could use my one of my spanner wrenches and try to hold it on. There's my ratchet at. Put it somewhere. Ah. Of course, I need to look up the torque spec to see what it is, but we're going to get it good and tight right now. There we go. Okay, the next thing I'd want to do is I want to take a feeder gauge, and I would want to check my clutch clearance to make sure that the clutch clearance was good. And then, you know, spinning around and make sure everything spins good on it. And then when I put this clutch inside the vehicle, I would want to burnish the clutch. And so what we do is that we turn on the air conditioning and we turn the clutch on 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off, 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off. And so they say that a brand new clutch, you know, it's maybe has 20% of its torque capacity. So if it was a very hot summer day, put the car out in the sun, you know you're getting 130, 140 degrees inside that car. Well, the first thing the owner's going to do when they get in their car is turn on the AC on max, and of course, then if you're not moving very fast, that pressure is going to get up high. And if that pressure in the AC system is getting up high, this clutch may not have the capacity to hold that torque. And so what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to burnish the clutch, breaking the clutch, so it has full torque capacity when the owner gets it. So you typically try to get the car in a mild situation, you know, inside the shop, not a huge heat load, and turn on the AC so the pressures aren't real high. And it's 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off, 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off. And you do that 20 times, and that's breaking in the clutch. Remember that you always want to break in the clutch. So it does have good torque capacity, and it's not going to be sticky. Okay, and that's that was an easy one. They get harder than that. So that was an easy one. So this is Scott Norman, and if you're looking for more automotive education videos, You can look at my Professor Pintane YouTube channel. I'm also on Facebook, and I have a website. Just look for Professor Pintane. Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.